I know it probably looks like I just got up, and that's because I have. But here I am, part 4 of the draft dissection. We got the Dogs, the Lions, and the Crows. Now, I'm just going to take a guess and say this is probably going to be the shortest of all these dissections, given the predictability of 66% of the teams that we are going to be talking about. But if you've missed any of the first 3 parts, there are one a day that are all being dropped at 5 o'clock throughout the week before we hit the draft. Then you can go and find them. They'll be in the description or the pinned comment below. So go and check those out. Like the videos if you are enjoying the series so far, or you agree with what I'm saying about your team. And if you haven't subscribed, you can go and click that subscribe button. The race to 600 is on, and I hope I can get there very, very quickly. But here are the draft strategies and dissecting what I think the Dogs, Lions, and Crows can and will do in the 2022 AFL draft.
Wrong side for him, hooks it back! What a ball! Sensational!
So straight up here with the Bulldogs, I think they are the most likely to take a pick beyond the 70s. I feel like Bevo will give a lifeline to someone, and we'll be able to see them throughout the year. They'll be like a Supercoach cash cow, if you will, and the Dogs will get to see someone new in the red, white, and blue. I think ideally for their first 2 picks, if, you know, the Doggies could grant a wish from some sort of silly little draft genie, then they would end up with Ollie Hollands and Braden George at their 2 picks. Now, Carlton, I think, are more likely to take Hollands, but if he is there, and the Blues maybe go with a Buzzlinger, if he's still there, or someone around that mark, then I think the Dogs would be served very well to put Ollie Hollands on a wing to start his career and fill the void that was left by Lachie Hunter. As for George, his ACL tear has pushed him down some phantom draft rankings. I really like him, and call me crazy, I still think he's in contention to go to the Dogs first if Buzzlinger and Hollands are off the board. If Geelong take Buzzlinger, who look the most likely, if Jai Clark is off the board, I definitely think that if Ollie Hollands is at the Blues, Braden George is the go here, and they'll be able to assess in the second round who is still there. Is a Henry Huswaite still on the board at that point? Did the Swans pass on Ollie Houghton? Maybe it's unlikely they take 2 forward mid kind of players, but don't take George here in that first round slot out of the picture. But I think it is more likely that they go with Ollie Hollands, the ultimate professional. A lot of recruiters are getting some Sam Walsh kind of vibes off Ollie Hollands, which no pressure there. I did enjoy his work on the outside of the contest a bit more than his contested stuff from what I've seen. But considering the contested style of a lot of the Dogs midfielders, especially epitomised by Tom Liberatore, he's not going to need to do that, which is why he would be such a good fit. Add in his professionalism and his maturity that's being reported by nearly everyone that has had an interactional interview with Ollie so far, and you're on to a winner. The combination of George, Waitman, and Latham Vandermeer all fully fit would be a daunting one for a lot of small defenders in the competition. George maybe doesn't get the ball that Harry Sheezel does, but both are dangerous around the goals, and I think George would add a dynamic to the Dogs forward line that they are lacking once the ball hits the ground. It does seem like the Dogs forward line last year was Norton in the air, Waitman on the ground, and that's it, which is not how the Doggies are going to win a second flag under Luke Beveridge if that comes to fruition. It looks like he's going to get signed this year, for better or for worse. That might be a video idea that I can do later on, but I think if those 2 picks work out all right, they'll be okay. Who they could target with their 3rd pick, again, would really depend. That's why I like to speculate here. I'm not going to put any kind of massive confidence into picks from here because it is all about who is there. The Dogs could trade up if there is a key defender on the board, potentially, if they think Sam Darcy is a forward, but I think they're just going to take best available. They might hope for a Jackson Binns in this spot. They might take a punt on a Bailey McDonald, even though they've got rebounding defenders. It really does depend on how the draft falls. I'm actually probably the least confident in the Bulldogs' 3rd pick out of all the picks in that 30 mark. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. But seriously, if the Dogs can come out of this draft with an outside player, a forward 50 threat, I think that's a tick already. And we'll see how they go from there. It wouldn't surprise me if one of those late picks was like a Jackson Broadbent or a ruckman that they might be able to develop. Yes, English is their number 1 ruck. Nothing's going to stop that. Jordan Sweet, could be shopped around next year, maybe for clubs looking for a ruckman, and they could have another one in development there. Tim English doesn't play all games. He does seem to get a knock or two throughout the year, so that might be an option for where they go. But if I was ranking teams in terms of intrigue, the Doggies are on the podium for sure, and I'm really looking forward to what they do. So Brisbane are potentially going to come out of this draft with 3 selections. We know Ashcroft, the freak of the draft, the best kid in the draft. Even if Wardlaw was fully fit, he's 1 and 1A. So he's the best kid in the draft right now. He's going to find the footy. He uses it well. He's got a turn of speed, the agility, the evasion. He is the whole package, but not as an AFL player. He's the full package, the whole package, at 18. That's what we need to remember here. Ashcroft is a star playing against 18-year-olds. He is going to take time to acclimatise, especially if Brisbane use him at the contest, which I think further and further into the year they are going to need to. I love Hugh McCluggage on a wing way more than I think anyone else does. I think he could be a perennial All-Australian for the next 10 years. How can he break from the squad to the side? Will be a wingman, and hopefully the All-Australian selectors at some point grow a brain and put actual wingmen on the wings, but that's just my take there. They're going to get Jasper Fletcher as well, who can start on a wing opposite Humac. He is going to be in a back brace for the next 2 months. I don't think we're going to see him throughout, March and April, but as the winter kicks in, I think we're going to see a bit of Jasper Fletcher there. Again, good turn of speed, good going, meters gained kind of player, and a ripping kid from all reports, which is fantastic. So you lump those two together, and with the pick absorption, depending on where the bid comes in, they're probably going to come out of the draft with one more player. Who that is, again, they might go for a ruckman without having a deep dive into their depth chart, but it's definitely just going to be a best available here. I don't see them trading up to take someone. Once the pick absorption happens, whether they've got 1 or 2 more picks, it's purely going to be best available, and Ashcroft and Fletcher is already a tick of a draft for Brisbane, who are having one of, if not the best, off-season of all time. I'm not sure how much I agree with the strategy of the Crows here, but it looks like they're going to come out with Max Michaelani, and that's about it. Maybe the pick absorption, again, depending on the bid, might push their last pick to in the 60s maybe, and they could take a South Australian kid. Kobe Ryan would be a really good fit if they didn't draft Zach Taylor last year, so that probably pushes him out of the way. If I'm the Crows and I've got 1 pick left, just take the best tall in the draft. I don't care if it's a tall forward, or a backup ruckman, a key defender. If you've got a late swing there, just take it on a big bloke and see what they've got. And then once you hit the mid-season draft, you'll be able to look at what you need or injuries that you've got, and you might be able to go from there. That is purely my take on the Crows. But Max Michaelani is a stopper as a small defender. He will cause some headaches moving forward. He is a good pickup for the Crows and something that they do need, so I'll give them a tick for that. Isaac Rankin coming through the door, of course, stops their early going. There are reports that they are going to try and trade next year's first-round pick into this draft, especially to Essendon, to try to take Matthias Philippou, which would be a massive win for their midfield, who badly need some height, some X-factor. Can they get it done? Hard to say, but if they do trade into the first round or the first single-digit picks, they are definitely targeting Matthias Philippou, and I do not blame them. Matthias is meeting with Hawthorn and St Kilda coming. I think he's going top 10 pretty much without a shadow of a doubt now, and the Crows will be desperately hoping it's him. But if I had to put some coin on it, Max Michaelani is the lock there, and what they do from there, I think, is take a development-type project and just see how they go. So that's it, guys. The Dogs, the Lions, and the Crows, done and dusted. How quick is that? Hope you're enjoying the series. Click the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you look after yourselves. I hope your week is going fantastically. And part 5, we've got a couple of really intriguing teams. 3, in fact. So I can't wait for that to drop tomorrow. Take care, and until next time, I hope you can join the Daz Talks Footy family.